Ajay Sareen, which is a visionary principal who thinks ahead of our time. Next. Chemistry department was established in 1970. Next. We have our faculty, highly learned and dedicated faculty, Dr. Neelam Sharma, Mrs. Deepshikha, Dr. Ekta Khosla, Dr. Aparna Sharma, and Dr. Vandana Thakur. Next. These are our faculty members. Next. Our department and science department offers these courses: BSc Medical, BSc Non-Medical, BSc Computer Science with Chemistry, BSc Biotechnology, and MSc Chemistry with 2 years PG program. Next. College. In our college, chemistry department have highly qualified faculty which has vast research experience. Teachers do minor research project for students. Laboratories are well equipped with advanced techniques, and e-learning modules and online teaching patterns are followed by our faculty. Next. The scope of chemistry: after doing courses in chemistry, you can go for teaching in university or college. After completing your PhD, you can become environment policy maker. You can do work as system analyst. You can do work as quality control chemist. You can work as forensic expert, and many more options you can take up after doing PG in chemistry. Next. We have well-equipped laboratories with all kind of latest instruments. Next. These are the infrastructure of our labs. Please go on. Next. These are the instruments which we have got in our laboratories: the colorimeter, conductivity meter, Abbe's refractometer, potentiometer, UV visible spectrophotometer, FTIR we have got, and these help us to enhance skill in students. Our students, they do water sample testing. They develop the skill of pH testing of different materials like acids, bases, buffers. These are the classrooms, smart classrooms. Teacher take classes with the help of latest apps. Next. These are the departmental activities for overall development of students. Department organized international seminar on nanotechnology, which is a promising technology for today. The workshop on cosmetology was organized to test the pH of cosmetic products. Workshop on checking adulteration in foodstuff were organized. These make our students skillful how to find out adulterants in the foodstuff and how to make their kitchen insecticide free and the herbicide free, the food items they do use, what practices they can take up to get rid of these harmful chemicals. Latest, we organized a workshop on micro scale experiments for students. That means doing chemistry but reducing the amount from gram to microgram and milligram to save the environment. Industrial visits are organized for students to combine theoretical knowledge with practical knowledge. Students were taken to Jagatjeet industry to visit distillery plant. Students were taken to Sun Pharmaceutical Ropert to see the HPLC, high pressure liquid chromatography working, how the medicines are prepared and how their components are separated. Students were taken to Khanna paper mill, Amritsar, to see the working of plant. Next. For overall development of personality of students and to give them informal education, excursion tours are arranged to different places. Next. This is the visit to Indo-Pak border to witness the retreat ceremony at Atari. Now for personality development, emphasis on yoga is given so that students, they can remain fit. Now Havan Yajnas are performed and moral and ethical values are given to students. These are our meritorious students, and I want to share with you students that our first batch of PG chemistry, it's attained 4 positions in the university. Our Jasmine Sidhu, she got 2nd position in university in a 2nd semester. This was our first batch of MSc chemistry. These are students being honored by the dignitaries. These are the students being given prizes in the competitions which we organize for to channelize the energy of students. Different competitions are organized. Next. Our faculty member, Dr. Ekta Khosla, honored with the award for outstanding achievement on National Women's Day. So this was brief introduction of chemistry department. Chemistry is all about bonding together to live in harmony with each other. Now students, this was the introduction of our chemistry department. Now I'm going to take up my presentation, Introduction to Wonderful World of Chemistry. Now, what is chemistry? Chemistry is a fundamental science that investigates molecules, the building block of all matter. Now, how this matter is formed? We have to go back to origin of universe. Now, how the universe was originated? There, 13.7 billion years ago, there was a tiny ball. There was a tiny ball which has very small volume, but it has infinite temperature and density. And according to Big Bang theory or expanding universe hypothesis, this tiny ball, this exploded. Tiny ball, it exploded, and stars, galaxies, Milky Way, these were formed. And when it exploded and expansion took place, some of the energy, it changed to matter. You know Einstein's equation. E is mc square. Energy and mass are interconvertible. Now, after 1 second of Big Bang, subatomic particles like neutron, proton, they started building to form. And after 3 lakh years of Big Bang, the early Earth, it cooled to 4500 Kelvin and atomic matter was formed. Now, in the early Earth atmosphere, there were small molecules like small nuclei like hydrogen was there, helium was there, nitrogen was there, oxygen was there. These erupted maybe because of volcanic eruptions, and these simple molecules, these combine to form complex molecules like amino acids, like fatty acids, sugars, nitrogen bases were formed, and all these amino acids, they combine, they link up to form proteins, and proteins, they form peptides. And this is how life took the shape. The first life appeared in water about 3.5 billion years ago. The life took its shape in water in the form of unicellular bacteria. And bacteria, then from bacteria formed blue-green algae. And from blue-green algae, first fish was formed. Till that time, there was no life on land. And from fish, the first sign of life appeared on land in the form of plants. And then came amphibians, then reptiles, then frogs were formed, then dinosaurs were formed, and then mammals were formed. And from mammals, apes were formed. And from apes, the journey of birth of human beings that started. So from origin of universe, chemistry is playing its role. So what is life? Life is when simple molecules, they combine to form complex molecules, and 20 amino acids are there which are in our body. And at that time, when early earth was formed, these 20 amino acids were there in early life. Next, please. So what is matter? What is matter? Matter is that occupies space and has weight and can be felt by any one of our senses. We are matter. Everything around us is matter. Now, what is the role of chemistry in the life which we got from chemistry? Chemistry directly affects our life, what we eat, what we wear, our transport, the technology we use, our health, how we get electricity, and many more applications. Next. Now, what is the role of chemist? Now, chemists have been the driving force from metal work in Copper Age in 5000 BC. BC means before Christ, to the digital era. So chemist is the driving force from early man to the digital era, and new cutting edge technologies came like nanoscience and biotechnology. So chemists have been everywhere. Chemistry is the central science, and it led the investigation into our human body, earth, materials, energy, food industry, and chemistry is everywhere, anywhere and everywhere in between. Next. Now we are going to discuss the wonderful journey of chemistry. The first wonder the humans experienced, that was the fire. Next. Now the fire, with the help of fire, when early man, he knew of fire, he could manipulate the metals with the fire. And the first metal discovered was copper in 5000 BC. And with the knowledge of fire, the Stone Age by the early man was replaced with tools and weapons made of copper. And copper, it was worked with the smelting technique. And next came the Bronze Age. What was the Bronze Age? When the first ever alloy was formed. Copper plus tin, these two combine a harder metal, which is called the bronze. And the bronze trading between early civilization, it facilitated the transfer of knowledge and technology between the early civilization. And this bronze is used casting technique. Then came the Iron Age, around 1200 BC. Now, iron was the major metal of choice, but it was slower to evolve because a higher temperature was required to work with this metal. And then with this came improved furnace technology and development of forging technique as opposed to casting technique in Bronze Age. Next. Now, what's the role of chemistry in were not there, it was impossible to store the foods and to the distribution of food to different places. So first cooling system in 1874, it used dimethyl ether, and then came industrial refrigerator which used ammonia based systems. Till date, industrial refrigerators, they work on ammonia based system. The biggest chemical innovation which came in food industry, that is ammonia. With the help of ammonia, artificial fertilizers can be produced. In 1909, Haber-Bosch process, it manufactured ammonia by combining atmospheric nitrogen with hydrogen at high temperature and pressure to form ammonia. So it is the 40 to 60% global food production is based on artificial fertilizers. Next, discovery of pesticides and herbicides, they also increased crop yields. Now, chemistry is also helpful to providing clean water supplies for recycling water and for desalination of water. So this is the effect the chemistry has done to food industry. Next. Now, what's the role of chemistry in health and medicine? Major breakthrough came via chemistry. New pharmaceutical diagnostic tools and equipments were developed with the knowledge of chemistry. X-ray machines, MRI imaging, cancer test, pregnancy test. Then analytical chemistry helped to identify poisons or toxins in body. Then discovery of painkillers and anesthetics like laughing gas. This was the first anesthesia. N2O. This was used for minor surgeries. And minor surgeries, they were possible at that time because of the discovery of painkillers and anesthesia, and advanced surgeries could take place rather than amputation. So risk of minor surgery was solved, but still the risks of infections were there. Again, chemistry came to rescue. First antibiotic, carbolic acid, it was discovered by Joseph Lister in 1867. And the wounds after surgery, they were treated with this carbolic acid. And death rate dropped from 45% to 15%. Then in 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered first antibiotic, penicillin, which was very helpful in fighting bacteria-borne illness. Next, please. Now this penicillin, this has done wonders. It saved millions of lives around 1940 when it was manufactured at a large scale. Now, next icon in science, Marie Curie. She got 2 Nobel Prizes, one in physics and one in chemistry. She worked on radioactivity, and her work paved the way for X-ray imaging, nuclear power, and radiotherapy. Next, please. In 1953, Crick and Watson, they published the structure and mechanism of DNA, and they were awarded Nobel Prize in 1962. And with this study, many things became clear. How diseases, they pass from one generation to another, why we look like our parents, how the life evolved, how the cell work at micro level. And this study of DNA, this further motivated the scientists into research into field of health and medicine. And now presently we have reached to concept of personalized medicine. Next. Now we are living in the pandemic, whole globe is engulfed with COVID-19 pandemic, and it is only the innovation in pharmaceutical sector which due to which we can survive. Still nothing we can see, but we are waiting for the vaccine to come. Nowadays we are listening about a medicine remdesivir, which is an antiviral medicine. It's broad spectrum. Gilead Sciences has prepared it. So it is one lesson we have learned from this pandemic. It is the only chemistry due to which we can survive by making new medicines and vaccines. Next. Now, if we come to technology and if we see the role of technology, we can see the instruments, display screens in the smartphones, TVs, and computers, and how these screens work. These screen works due to liquid crystals. That is why these are called LCD screens. These have got property to control light and images. These have got light modulating properties. Now, LCD technology was superseded by LEDs, light emitted diodes. And now the concept of quantum dots have come. These are nanoscale crystals that can transport electrons. These can emit light of various colors when UV light hits these semiconducting nanomaterials. Next. This is the pic of quantum dots showing bright different colors. Next. Now, what's the role of chemistry in giving the world different materials? What's the role of chemistry? Now, when Iron Age came, urban development took place. Roads, they started construction of roads started. New materials like cement, mortars, and bitumen, they came into light. In 1843, vulcanized rubber was developed by Charles Goodyear, and pneumatic tires, they were manufactured. Then polymer industry and plastic industry, this came into existence. Then synthesis of first artificial dye, Movin purple color. This was discovered. Next. This was an accidental discovery by William Perkin, an 18-year-old boy. He was trying to synthesize artificial quinine, and it was accidental discovery that a rare pigment, artificial dye, he discovered. Next, please. And this paved the way and investigation into field of organic chemistry. Next. Now, we are talking of smart materials, and these are the nanochannels developed by graphene oxide, which processed into carbon membranes with unique water permeability. Two smart materials were discovered. One was fullerene and other was graphene. Next. Now, the carbon nanotubes in 1996, carbon nanotubes were discovered, and a new form of carbon was discovered, fullerenes, and Kroto, Karl, and Smiley, they got Nobel Prize for this. Carbon nanotubes, these are used to create ultra strong lightweight material for use in aircraft. And another form discovered was graphene. Graphene, these I want to tell you that the diameter of graphene is 1,000 times smaller than human hair. You can imagine, these are so small, these have got so small size. And graphene, and the properties, these are very unique. Graphenes are 200 times stronger than steel. These are ultra light, these are flexible, and these are excellent conductors. Next. This is the structure of fullerene, cage-like structure, where carbon atoms are arranged in this three-dimensional cage, and these have got properties and utility in biomedical devices. Next, this is the structure of graphene, which I had discussed earlier, its utility. Next. Now, this is the cosmetic industry. What is the role of chemistry in cosmetic industry? Now, if we see the compositions on any cosmetic product, we find that the water is there, emulsifiers are there, pH emulsifiers are there, pH stabilizers are there. And if we go into history of cosmetics, the the early queens like Cleopatra, she used to take bath with milk. Now milk has got lactic acid, and lactic acid has property to penetrate deep into the epidermis, and it rejuvenates the skin. Around 3000 BC, ancient Greek women, they used lead carbonate to make their skins pale, though nowadays we know that is toxic. So the cosmetics, these have got, these are made up of chemicals, maybe natural, maybe synthetic chemicals. And now the nanotechnology, this is the most promising technology of 21st century, and it has promising prospects. Nanotechnology, it is a big boon to cosmetic industry. Why? Because nanoparticles, these have got very small size, 1 to 100 nanometer particle size is there. And the cosmetic which are in the form of nanoparticles, these have got increased surface area, and these have got better penetration of active ingredients in skin. And these cosmetics, these are helpful in curing hair damage, wrinkles, skin dryness, dark spots, and hyperpigmentation. So this is the role of chemistry in cosmetics. Next. Now, energy, the most important vital factor for our survival. Now, the chemistry has ability to harness and store electrical energy in the form of electricity. Now, electricity, many experiments have been done by physics and chemists in this field. Now, traditional energy we achieve from combustion and thermodynamics of fossil fuel. And the 1700 to 1800 was the time when industrial revolution took place by chemical engineers. And this is called the era of growth. And next, the batteries. If we talk of batteries, chemistry has its role here also. The first battery was discovered by Alessandro Volta, and this battery work on chemical reaction. It is the chemical reaction which gives the energy. And Alessandro Volta, he discovered the first battery, and he proved that electricity flowed through wires attached to different metals, and type of metal used affected the voltage. Next. Now this is a lithium ion chargeable battery, and this lithium ion chargeable battery, three scientists got Nobel Prize due to this discovery in chemistry. In 2019, on 10th October 2019, the trio, they got Nobel Prize. Next, this lithium ion battery, this has got a longer lifespan. Whittingham, Goodenough, and Yoshino, these three people were working on this lithium ion battery. Their work started in 1970. The Whittingham was motivated and inspired to do work on lithium ion battery when oil crisis were there, but they got Nobel Prize in 2019. These batteries have got longer lifespan, and these provide power supply to cellular phones and other portable electrical devices. And the main feature of this battery is that these transform the way the energy is stored. And one disadvantage is this, that these gets overheated. And now the next battery again has come into existence, that is lithium sulfur battery. And that overheating problem is solved. Next. Now, the society has benefited hugely from advances in the field of chemistry. We have seen the journey. These were only few key discoveries which I have discussed with you. Now, chemistry will help us solve many future problems like sustainable energy, food production, managing our environment, providing safe drinking water, protecting human with better mental health, and finding vaccine for COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what is required? Required is this, that we have need to ensure that we use chemistry responsibly for the welfare of mankind. So students, if you take science and if you study chemistry, you become capable of changing the world. You can reduce anxiety, stress, suffering, and fear of humankind. Thank you very much. And now I share the screen with Mrs. Deepshikha, Associate Professor in Chemistry, a learned and dedicated teacher who will clear your concepts on organic chemistry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Neelam Sharma. This is Dr. Anjana here, and it is wonderful listening to you. It has been a great speech, and बच्चे बहुत अच्छे comments लिख रहे हैं. बच्चों ने लिखा है, we have understood the second phase of chemistry. Chemistry का एक चेहरा जो आमतौर पे बच्चे देखते हैं, उससे अलग एक और चेहरा आज आपने दिखाया. Thank you, Dr. Neelam. Dr. Neelam एक बहुत ही जिसको कहते हैं humane chemist हैं. Chemistry इनका subject है और humanity इनका religion है. So thank you, Dr. Neelam. It has been wonderful listening to you. Wonderful speech and wonderful PPT. Thank you for that. And over to Madam Deepshikha. Once again, a very affectionate and a very good teacher.
Thank you, Anjana. Thank you.
Please welcome Madam Deepshikha.
Good morning, all of you.
Yes, ma'am, you are very clearly visible and audible. Very good.
जी मैम आप स्क्रीन शेयर कर लीजिए, पीपीटी चला लें.
Okay, sure, sir. Good morning, all of you. I am Deepshikha from Department of Chemistry. Dr. Neelam Sharma has given a brief introduction of Department of Chemistry. He has shared with you information regarding the wonderful world of chemistry. Chemistry is an important part of our life. We can't imagine a day without chemistry. Even our body is a bag of chemicals. All biological processes which are occurring in our body, they are chemical processes. Now see this slide. The clothes we wear, the food we eat, soaps we use, medicines we take, all these are chemical substances. Behind all this, there is chemistry. All these products, they are made up of the organic compounds. And these organic compounds, they are synthesized in laboratories and big industries. And I am going to discuss with you the mechanism behind these organic compounds. I will discuss with you simply the basic concepts of the organic chemistry. I will mainly focus on the basic terms, on the basic concepts which we use in organic reactions. So now I start with the basic concepts of organic chemistry. As you know, organic compounds, they are made up of carbon and hydrogen. In addition to this, there may be present some special elements like phosphorus, halogens, nitrogen, oxygen, and metals. Now, these are some important points every student should know while studying the organic chemistry. Carbon is tetravalent. It will always form 4 bonds. All of you know, carbon can undergo sp3 hybridization. It can undergo sp2 hybridization. It can undergo sp hybridization. When it undergoes sp3 hybridization, it will have tetrahedral geometry and it will consist of single bonds with other carbon. When it is having sp2 hybridization, it will have trigonal planar geometry and it will consist of double bonds. For example, you have studied in case of alkenes, there is formation of double bonds. If a carbon is sp hybridized, it means there will be formation of triple bond with another carbon, as you have studied in case of alkynes. Therefore, we can say in case of alkanes, there is sp3 hybridization in carbon. In case of alkenes, sp2 hybridization, and in alkynes, there is sp hybridization. Now, I have to mainly focus on the organic reactions and the basic terms or the effects which we study in the organic reactions. Now, what are organic reactions? All of you know, organic reactions are chemical reactions. As a result of this, we get different products. We get various organic compounds. You have studied the organic reactions. Various organic reactions have been studied. You have studied substitution reactions. You have studied elimination reactions. You have studied pericyclic reactions, rearrangement reactions, redox reactions, various reactions, because organic chemistry is all full of reactions. A reaction mechanism, and all you know, reactions occur in various steps, and these step-by-step sequence of elementary reactions, they result in an overall chemical change. This reaction that occurs in steps, and all these steps together they constitute the mechanism of the reaction, which ultimately gives us the products. So you should know few basic terms. All of you know yearly you use this term nucleophile, electrophile while reading the organic chemistry. Now, first of all, I will discuss with you what is a nucleophile. All of you know nucleophile. Nucleophile means nucleus loving, means it loves positive charge. It loves positive charge. It is having electron on it, or it is having the negative charge on it. Therefore, it will attract the positive charge, or it will attack on the position where it is the positive charge, or it is electron deficient. Now, what are nucleophiles? Means nucleophile they itself are electron rich, but they will attack at the position which will be electron deficient, which will be having the positive charge. So what is a nucleophile? A reagent which can donate an electron pair in a reaction, that is called a nucleophile. A reagent which can donate an electron pair. It means nucleophiles they themselves are electron rich. They themselves are electron rich. They are represented by this symbol. See this. They are represented by this symbol, and they may be negative ions, or they can be molecules with free electron pairs. See these. I have given you the examples. Chloride, bromide, iodide. All these are having a negative charge on it. It means the last one, alcohol, water. In this case, these are having a lone pair of electrons. So how can we define a nucleophile? It means a nucleophile can be defined as a reagent which can donate an electron pair. It itself is electron rich, and therefore it attacks at the position which are low in electron density, or you can say it attacks at the position which are positive centers. Next, we come to electrophiles. Electrophiles means electron loving. They love electron. It means they have tendency to accept the electrons. A reagent which can accept an electron in a reaction, that is called an electrophile. It means they want electrons. Therefore, they themselves will be electron deficient. Electrophiles, they are electron deficient. They may be positive ions, including carbonium ion, or they may be neutral molecules with electron deficient centers. Therefore, they love electrons. They are called electrophiles because they love electrons. And they are represented by, see this, they are represented by E positive. They are represented by E positive. I have shown you a few examples. First is proton, then chloronium ion, bromonium ion. All these are positively charged species. Therefore, they act as electrophiles. At the last, I have shown aluminum chloride, boron trifluoride. These two molecules, they are electron deficient. These are electron deficient. They don't have positive charge on this. They are neutral molecules, but they are electron deficient. Therefore, they act as electrophiles. Now, next I will discuss with you the electron displacement effects in covalent bonds. Now, all of you know what is a covalent bond. Covalent bond, it is formed by sharing of electron pair between two bonded atoms. This covalent bond formed by sharing of electron pair between two bonded atoms. Now these electrons, they can be displaced. They can be displaced either in the ground state or under the influence of an atom or a subsequent group, or in the presence of an appropriating attacking reagent. These electrons which are involved in the covalent bond, they can be displaced either in ground state. Why they will be displaced in the ground state? Because of the presence of any electron donating group or electron withdrawing group. Or they can be displaced when there is any attacking reagent, means when there is reaction, an attacking reagent is attacking on the substrate. I will discuss with you these two important electron displacement effects. One is called resonance effect, other is called the inductive effect. The first is resonance effect. All of you have listened this term resonance, and that mostly you learn in case of benzene. You studied in case of benzene, and very many aromatic compounds, they show resonating structure. You have drawn many resonating structures. And now what is this resonance effect? The resonance effect is defined as the polarity produced in the molecule. Now what is polarity? All of you should know what is polarity. Polarity means there is separation of positive and negative charge. The resonance effect, it is defined as the polarity produced in the molecule by the interaction of two pi bonds. You have to take care of this, by interaction of two pi bonds, or between a pi bond and a lone pair of electrons present on adjacent atom. So you should keep in your mind that resonance effect, it results in the production of polarity. And which electrons they are involved? Electrons involved are either from pi bonds or from a pi bond and a lone pair of electrons. Either from two pi bonds or a pi bond and a lone pair of electrons. There are two types of resonance effect: positive resonance effect and negative resonance effect. So first of all, I will discuss with you positive resonance effect. Now, what is a positive resonance effect? Groups with one or more pair of electrons, when present adjacent to a double bond, donate electrons to the double bond. See this. I have drawn the structure of resonating structure of phenol. See this phenol, this OH group. This OH group, it is having the lone pair of electrons. Lone pair of electron, it is adjacent to with this double bond. Now this lone pair of electrons, it can be donated. It can be donated to this benzene through resonance. So I am explaining you positive resonance effect. What happens in positive resonance effect? When groups with one or more pair of electrons present adjacent to double bond, they donate electrons to double bond. They donate. You should give stress on this term, donate. They donate electrons to the double bond. Such groups which donate electrons to the double bond through resonance, they are said to possess plus R effect. They are said to possess plus R effect or positive resonance effect. In this structure of resonating structure of phenols, now lone pair present on oxygen, it is donating to this benzene. As a result of this, benzene is having more electron density. Benzene, it's get activated. It is having more electron density. Therefore, you must have listened to this term activating groups. It means the groups which increase the electron density on the benzene, they are called the activating group. They are called the activating group. Now see on the slide that I have shown the negative charge on the ortho position with respect to OH group and at the para position with respect to OH group. When any electrophile, they love electrons, when any electrophile that attack on this, it has to attack on the position which is having more electron density. Now electron density is more at ortho and para position. It means electrophile will attack at ortho and para position. It will not attack at meta position. So sometimes question is asked, why in case of the phenols you get ortho para substituted product, not meta substituted product? So it is the answer, because OH group, that is electron donating group. It is an electron donating group. It increases the electron density on the benzene, and on the other hand, it increases the electron density at ortho and para position. Therefore, incoming electrophile, it attacks at ortho and para position. So you should know this. These groups, which is showing the plus R effect, they are increasing the electron density at benzene as well as mainly at ortho and para position. Therefore, these groups, they are also, it is also known as activating group as well as ortho para directing, because it directs the incoming electrophile at ortho and para position with respect to OH. Now I come to negative resonance effect. Now what is negative resonance effect? Electron withdrawing groups. But that was electron donating group. Now electron withdrawing group, when present adjacent to double bond, they withdraw electrons of a double bond. Now they are withdrawing electrons from the, see this, I have drawn the structure of nitrobenzene. Nitrobenzene, it is withdrawing electrons from the benzene. Now such groups which withdraws electron from the adjacent double bond, they are said to possess minus R effect. They are said to possess minus R effect. It means nitro group is taking electrons from the benzene ring. It is decreasing the electron density on the benzene ring. Therefore, nitro group is also called deactivating group, because it is decreasing the electron density. It is taking electrons from the benzene ring. And see this. Where is the positive charge? Positive charge is at ortho position as well as a para position with respect to nitro group. As the nitro group is taking electrons from the benzene ring, it means electron density is decreasing on benzene ring. This group is called the deactivating group, and it will make the electrophile difficult to attack. We require drastic condition for doing an electrophilic substitution reaction on nitrobenzene. It means as it is having a positive charge on it, therefore it can also undergo nucleophilic substitution reaction, because nucleophile, they love nucleus or they love positive charge. So it can undergo nucleophilic substitution reaction. Now, next, I am coming to the next factor, that is inductive effect. Inductive effect, what is inductive effect? In case of resonance effect, I have told you that there is involvement of pi bonds or pi electron cloud and the lone pair of electrons. But in case of inductive effect, there are also polarization of the bond. But in this case, sigma bond is involved. In this case, there is involvement of sigma bond. No pi bond involvement. No pi bond involvement. There is polarization of the sigma bond. And why this polarization occurs? It occurs because of presence of electron withdrawing or electron donating group. See this carbon chain. With this, I have attached this chlorine atom. All of you know chlorine is electronegative. It is highly electronegative. It can withdraw electrons from this sigma bond. As a result of this, it acquires partial negative charge. As it is taking electrons from the sigma bond, there will be development of positive charge. There will be development of positive charge on this carbon. Next, this positive charge, it will again attract this electron. This bond pair will be attracted toward this carbon. There will be development of partial positive charge at the next carbon. And this continues. But the amount of charge decreases with the distance. Means inductive effect goes on decreasing with the distance. This is called the inductive effect, and it is due to the presence of electron donating or withdrawing. In this case, there is, I have shown with you, when there is present chlorine atom. Now, you must have come to know that it arises due to electronegativity difference between two atoms forming sigma bond. Means mainly it arises because of the electronegativity difference. It is transmitted through sigma bond. So you should know this. It is transmitted through sigma bond. No pi bond involvement is here. The magnitude of inductive effect decreases while moving away from the groups. It is a permanent effect, and it affects the chemical and physical properties of compounds. Now, types of inductive effect. There are again two types of inductive effect. One is negative inductive effect, other is positive inductive effect. Now, what is negative inductive effect? The electron withdrawing nature of groups or atoms is called as negative inductive effect. You know two types of groups, electron withdrawing groups, electron donating group. The electron withdrawing nature of group, that is called the minus I effect or negative inductive effect.
Where in Bihar?
Her
I
death
have,
caused deliberately as an attempt.
I have shown you here nitro group. It is electron withdrawing group. All halogens, you know, more electronegative as compared to carbon. All these are electron withdrawing. Carbonyl groups, they are electron withdrawing. All these groups, they show the negative inductive effect. Now, what is positive inductive effect? It refers to electron releasing nature of the group. Electron donation, groups which can donate electrons, they are said to possess the positive inductive effect. All alkyl groups, they come in the category of the groups showing positive inductive effect. And these positive inductive effect or negative inductive effect, they affect their physical and chemical properties. If we compare the acid strength of various carboxylic acid, for example, fluoroacetic acid, chloroacetic acid, bromoacetic acid, if we compare the strength of all these acids, so the electronegativity of fluorine, electronegativity of chlorine, all affect the acid strength. These effects, they can also affect the basic strength of amines. These physical and chemical properties, they are affected by the inductive effect. Next, we come to hyperconjugation. Now, what is hyperconjugation? It is also a permanent effect, and it is generalized stabilizing the interaction. It involves delocalization of sigma electrons. See this diagram carefully. It is a structure of protein. It is structure of diagram of propene. It is the methyl group. This one is methyl group. Now, this methyl group, and this is CH, carbon hydrogen bond. These electrons between carbon and hydrogen, they participate in the resonance or delocalization. It is also called no bond resonance. It is also called no bond resonance. In this case, delocalization of sigma electrons of CH bond. This one is alkyl group. It's a CH bond, and these electrons, they are involved. They are directly attached to unsaturated system of propene. Unsaturated system of propene, or there may be present an unshared carbon, unshared p orbital on the carbon. I will show you in the next slide hyperconjugation structure. It is also called no bond resonance. Why it is called no bond resonance? Next is the fundamental concepts in organic reactions. You know, when organic reactions occurs, in organic reaction, the organic molecule, it reacts with appropriate attacking reagent and leads to formation of intermediates, and ultimately there is formation of product. Is organic molecule, it reacts with attacking reagent, formation of intermediates, and ultimately formation of products. Now, one of these is called substrate, other is called attacking reagent. Now, what is a substrate? Substrate is that reactant which supplies carbon to the new bond, and other reactant is called a reagent. Sometimes there is no distinction between, we should say which one is substrate and that is, we just merely which are focused. We are focused on which our attention is focused. That is called a substrate. Reaction mechanism, I have already told you, various steps. Now we come to fission of covalent bond. All of you know covalent bond that cleaves. When there is reaction, there is cleavage of the covalent bond. And this bond, it can be cleaved in two ways, either heterolytically or it can be cleaved homolytically. Heterolytically, what do you mean by heterolytic cleavage? In heterolytic cleavage, the bond breaks in such a fashion that the shared pair of electrons remains with one of the fragment. Shared pair of electron remains with one of the fragments. See this, methyl bromide. This is bond pair. Now this bond pair is completely transferred to the bromine atom and it acquires a negative charge. And as carbon, if there is no electron, it will acquire the positive charge. It means one atom that becomes positively charged and other becomes a negatively charged. and there occur complete transference of bonded pair of electrons. And positively charged carbon ion, that is called the carbonium ion. And these reactions, the organic reactions which proceeds through heterolytic bond cleavage, they are also called ionic reactions or heteropolymer reactions. Next is homolytic cleavage. Now, what is homolytic cleavage? In case of homolytic cleavage, this bond between two atoms, these two bonded atoms, R group and the halogen, these are the bonded atoms. Now, this bond cleaves heterolytically. One electron transferred to one bonded atom, other electron transferred to other bonded atom. One electron transferred to one bonded atom, other electron transferred to other bonded atom. It means there is formation of neutral species having unpaired electrons. These are called alkyl free radical. It means heterolytic cleavage that generate positive and negatively charged ions, and homolytic cleavage that generates free radical. Therefore, these reactions are also called free radical reactions or non-polar reactions. Whenever there are reactions, reactants, substrate, attacking reagent, and there is formation of intermediates, ultimately formation of products. Now, these intermediates, they are very short-lived species, and we can't consider them. Through these intermediates, there is formation of products. Now, mainly important intermediates: carbocations, carbon ions, free radicals, carbenes, nitrates. So first of all, I will discuss you the carbocations. Carbocations, cation means positively charged species. Chemical species bearing a positive charge on carbon and carrying 6 electrons in its valence shell are called carbocations. See this tertiary butyl chloride. This tertiary butyl chloride alkyl halide, it cleaves. We have read the SN1 reactions in case of alkyl halides. There are two types of mechanism, SN1 and SN2. SN1 reactions, they occur in 2 steps. In first step, there is formation of carbocations. See this, I have shown you the first step of the SN1 reaction. It cleaves heterolytically. An electron pair that is transferred to chlorine atom. There is formation of carbon species which is having sextet of electrons and having the positive charge. So it is the formation of carbocations. Carbocations, they are formed heterolytically, then there is heterolytic cleavage. And stability of carbocations. Tertiary carbocations, they are more stable than secondary, then primary, and then methyl. Now this stability factor, it depends upon inductive effect, resonance effect, and hyperconjugation effect. Inductive effect. All of you know, in the previous slide I have told you, all alkyl groups, they are showing plus I effect. They are electron donating in nature. They are showing plus I effect. Now see this, first tertiary carbocation. In this case, there are 3 alkyl groups attached. And these groups are, they are electron donating. It means they are dispersing the positive charge. Positive charge is dispersed over all this ion. As a result of this dispersal of positive charge, it makes it more stable. And as the number of alkyl group decreases, stability goes on decreasing. Therefore, tertiary carbocations, they are more stable than secondary, then primary, then methyl carbocations. Second is resonance effect. And as I have told you, resonance effect that occurs when there is present a double bonds. I bond is present. See this resonance effect. It is allyl carbocation. I have drawn the structure of allyl carbocation. And there is resonance. We get this resonating structure. These allyl carbocations are stable due to resonance effect. In the same way, this triphenyl methyl carbocation, diphenyl methyl carbocation, and benzyl carbocation, these are again stable because there are 3 benzyl ring attached with this, 3 phenyl groups. There are 2 phenyl groups. More will be resonance in this case, lesser in this case, lesser and least in this case. Therefore, triphenyl carbocation, they are most stable. Now I come to hyperconjugation effect. I have said you that I will tell you that it is called no bond resonance. Now in this structure, see the structure of tertiary butyl carbocations. This CH bond, this sigma bond, these CH electrons, they are involved in the sharing. They are shared with this carbocation. It is having one p orbital, it is shared with this, and there is no bond. Therefore, it is called no bond resonance. More the number of methyl group attached, more will be hyperconjugative structure. As there are 9 alpha hydrogens, see this total 9, 3 methyl groups, 9 alpha hydrogens. Therefore, it is having the 9 conjugated structures, and it will be most stable. So these I have shown the various carbocations and their stability factor. Reactivity, all of you know, as the stability decreases, reactivity increases. Therefore, primary carbocation, that's more reactive than secondary, then tertiary. Now we come to the structure, orbital structure of carbocation. Carbocation, I've shown you the structure of this carbocation. See this, carbon is having positive charge. Carbon, it is having a positive charge. It is sp2 hybridized. You should know this. It is sp2 hybridized. Therefore, it is having three hybridized orbitals. It is having 3 hybridized orbital. And these 3 hybridized orbital, they will form either with monovalent atom or substituted groups. And these 3 sigma bonds, they are formed. They are in a trigonal planar. Arrangement is trigonal planar. And one is empty p orbital. Angle is 120 degree. You should know the structure of carbocations, its hybridization, and an unhybridized p orbital. Next reactive intermediate, carbanions. Carbanion means carbon having negative charge, as well as it is possessing 8 electrons. You have read aldol condensation. In case of aldol condensation, this hydroxide ion, it is taking this proton, and as a result of this, carbon is having the negative charge. It means there is formation of carbon anion. It is a steroid carbon anion. Then this amide, this is acetylene. Acetylene, all of you know, it is acidic. These protons, these are acidic. They can be abstracted by base. Amide is a base. It can abstract one proton and formation of acetylide ion. So it is formation of 4 carbon and they are synthesized in the reactions. Stability. Stability order will be reverse that of the carbocations, because in this case, 3 alkyl groups, they will donate electron to the carbon. See this. These are donating electron to the carbon, and as a result of this, negative charge is intensifying on the carbon. As a negative charge is intensifying, stability decreases. Therefore, methyl carbanion, they are more stable than primary carbanion, then secondary carbanion, then tertiary. Again, inductive effect of the alkyl group that decides its stability factor. Next is resonance effect. Then there is double bond, as in case of allyl carbanion, in case of benzyl carbanion, they can show resonance. This electrons, they can be involved in the resonance. These electrons, they can be involved in the resonance. And as a result of this, you will get resonating structures. Because of these resonating structures, these carbanions, they get stabilized. See, triphenyl methyl carbanion, diphenyl methyl carbanion, and phenyl carbanion. All the stability increases because of the resonance. Next, stability of carbanion is also affected by the S character. Greater the S character, more stable will be the carbanion. It means the carbanion which is formed from the alkynes, they will be having more S character as compared to alkenes and alkanes. More is the S character, means electrons, they are more attracted towards the nucleus. As a result of this, they become more stable. Reactivity. Tertiary is greater than secondary, is greater than primary. Reverse order from that of the carbocations. Okay. Then about its orbital structure. Now, what is the orbital structure of carbanions? Now, in case of carbanions, it is orbital structure. In case of carbanions, we are having sp3 hybridization. We are having sp3 hybridization. And when there is sp3 hybridization, structure is pyramidal. You have studied the structure of ammonia, that is pyramidal. It is also having pyramidal structure. As a result of this, See this, these three are sigma bonds formed with either monovalent atoms or they be groups. One hybridized orbital, it is having lone pair of electrons. One hybridized orbital is having lone pair of electrons. As a result of this, it is having the negative charge. It means these are sp3 hybridized. These are sp3 hybridized and structure is pyramidal. But the carbon ions which are stabilized by resonance. For resonance, you know, structure should be planar, molecule should be planar. And when these are resonance stabilized, in that case, there will be sp2 hybridization. So you can say trimethyl carbonium ion, try this one, it is pyramidal, and allyl carbon ion, it is a planar. Next is free radicals. How free radicals they are generated? I have told you carbocations, carbon ions, they are generated when they are cleaved electrolytically. And free radicals, they will be generated when there will be homolytic cleavage. Means shared electron pair, this bond pair, it is transferred to chlorine. One electron goes to one atom, bonded atom, other goes to the bonded atom. And we get free radicals. Free radical means it is having one unpaired electrons. Again, there are primary free radicals, secondary free radical, and tertiary free radical. The order of stability of free radicals is same like that of the carbocations. As tertiary carbocations, they were more stable than secondary and primary. In the same way, tertiary butyl free radical is more stable than isopropyl free radical. This one, then ethyl free radical, then methyl free radical. Here I have shown you the stability of various free radicals, the order in which they are stable. Next is the structure of free radicals. Just like that of carbocations, it is having again sp2 hybridization. Carbocations and free radicals, they are having almost same hybridization, sp2 hybridization. There is only one difference. Difference is that in case of free radicals, there is present one unpaired electron in unhybridized orbital. But in case of carbocations, that orbital was vacant. So it is all about the structure of free radicals. Carbocations, anions. Carbocations, I have given you the example. Carbocations, which example I have given you? SN1 reactions. SN1 reactions, first step of SN1 reaction, that result in formation of carbocations. Then I have given you the carbon ion formation. In that case, I have given you the example of aldol condensation, in which OH negative will extract a acidic hydrogen and there occurs a negative charge. And in free radicals, they are formed as a result of homolytic cleavage. So these are the important intermediates which ultimately gives us the products. And these are very important intermediates, and products, they are very important because all our life, it depends upon these products. Although it may be paper, it may be clothes, it may be perfume, it may be cosmetic, it may be medicines, all are organic compounds. And all these organic compounds, they are synthesized by various organic reactions. And these organic reactions, they have these important terms. When you study these organic reactions, you should know all these effects: inductive effect, resonance effect, hyperconjugation effect. Then you should know the reactive intermediates. So it is all about the lecture. I have to tell you about the basics of chemistry. After that, I've just shown you the various careers you can adopt after studying the chemistry. You can go for research. You can be a material scientist. You can be a medical lab technologist. You can go for environmental consultant. You may be nuclear engineer. There are many options after studying the chemistry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
जी मैम, आप वाइंड अप कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो देख लीजिए आप, नीलम मैम से करवाना है जैसे भी.
आप नीलम मैम को कह सकते हैं.
जी मैम,
Because-
चैट में कोई बच्चे आपकी क्वेरीज हो पूछ सकते हैं मैम, चैट सेक्शन में देखिए अगर कोई क्वेरी आई बच्चों की। चैट को क्लिक करिए मैम। वैसे तो प्रेज ही कर रहे हैं बच्चे सारे।
Thank you, sir.
ठीक है, सो वी एंड द मीटिंग। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू
Thank you,
मैम,
sir.
मीटिंग बंद कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
Okay.